communities. He urged participants to promote peaceful coexistence between Fulani herders and other residents. Kaduna State Makban Chairman Alhaji Abdulhamid Al-Barka called on local leaders to expose criminal elements to avoid suspicion of collusion. The National Organizing Secretary Alhaji Hassan Tuga added that community leaders should report suspicious persons or activities to the relevant authorities. Other discussions focused on ensuring herders seek permissions before grazing on harvested farmlands. Fulani leaders from the 8 local government areas of southern Kaduna attended the meeting to contribute to solutions that will enhance lasting peace and security. Still on security, the Nigerian Senate is urging the federal government to review firearm laws to allow responsible citizens own guns as insecurity worsens in Kwara, Kebbi and Niger State. Citizens are reacting with growing frustration, calling for stronger security measures and faster government action to tackle the surge in kidnappings and attacks. VPTV's Matthew Ogunswada reports.
The Nigerian Senate has called on the federal government to review the country's firearm laws to allow responsible citizens to legally own guns, citing the escalating insecurity across Kwara, Kebbi and Niger State. The call followed a motion titled Urgent Need to Address Escalating Insecurity in Kwara, Kebbi and Niger State, sponsored by Deputy Senate leader Senator Lola Ashiru. The motion highlighted recent attacks on schools, worship centers and rural communities, including the November 18 attack on Christ Apostolic Church in Kwara State, where 2 worshippers were killed and 38 others abducted. While commending President Bola Tinubu for cancelling foreign trips to personally coordinate security responses, senators stressed that Nigeria's firearm laws should be updated to reflect current security challenges, similar to over 175 countries, where responsible citizens are permitted to legally own guns. As Voice of the People TV, we are on the street to get citizens' opinion on this proposal and to understand how Nigerians feel about rising insecurity and the potential legislation of firearms for self-defense.
In this country that we have, the security aspect in this country is not well tightened, and I believe with individuals there are things that we can actually do to stop the issue of insecurities.
Whenever we see any suspect or any strange movement, we need to report the issue to the security officers. And again, people can no longer go anywhere they like free. The farmer cannot work in the farm, and they are carrying children from the school. Government, they need to do something.
They've known all these things before. It's now the right time for him to declare anything. They are just deceiving us. It's not proper. They are killing us up and down. Even now, they've now come to Kwara. Even all these Okada people where they ride Okada, they are terrorists, not bandits. They are just using that one to cover their eyes, so that if anything happens, they will just rise against the Yorubas. Even the whole Nigeria, Hausa self don't have mouth to mouth again. So it's better they do something reasonable at reasonable time.
I think it's a welcome development if we go for state policing. I think that should help us in terms of security. Let every governor be in charge of their states. Then if something happens, a governor cannot give authority to the commissioner of police. They want to first of all get instruction from their IG. So I think let's get a state policing. That will definitely help us.
As insecurity continues to rise across different parts of Nigeria, the Senate call for the review of the firearm law has sparked debate between public safety and citizens' right to self-defense. For now, communities are on edge and all eyes are on the federal government to see how it will respond in the coming days and weeks to come. Matthew Ogunswada, reporting for Voice of the People Television.
Many thanks to Matthew for that report. Here in Lagos, the Igbonine Great People's Assembly has held its Lagos end-of-year celebration, bringing together community leaders who used the event to honor distinguished members and speak strongly on issues affecting the Igbo community in the state. The gathering also sparked wider conversations on demolitions, justice, and rising ethnic tensions. Our correspondent reports.
It was a vibrant cultural gathering in Lagos as the Igbonile Great People's Assembly held its annual end-of-year celebration. The event brought together Igbo and Yoruba traditional rulers, market heads, and social cultural representatives to promote unity and reflect on the year's event. Two prominent community figures, the Eze Igbo of Agoro and the Eze Igbo of Mushin, were honored for their support to Igbo residents across Lagos. The organization also used the event to address numerous issues affecting Igbo community. The national president strongly criticized the justice system over sentencing of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu.
When the justice system has collapsed, when it has failed, the nation has gone down completely. I don't know where to start because we have corrupt judges everywhere.
The National Secretary Elder Masi also lent his voice.
This war that is against Igbos, I will call it war because it has gotten from crisis stage, conflict stage, now it is war. Igbos are no pushovers all over the world. And there's nowhere, any country you go to, you don't find an Igbo man, that country does not exist. So we must not be stifled for anything. So the Igbos should rise, be themselves, but let them not fight. Let them not be in conflict with any other tribe or organization.
He also called for global unity among Igbos, saying the assembly stands ready to defend any Igbo person facing injustice. Another speaker, engineer Dr. Victor Ezeoke Ezeindingbo of Agora, Ikorodu, said the gathering serves not just as a celebration, but as a time to reconnect with culture and chart a way forward. Reflecting on recent tension between Igbos and Yoruba communities, he said Nigerians must see their differences, the way couples navigate cultural backgrounds in marriage, something that improves with time, education, and tolerance.
Igbos don't understand Yoruba too fully. Yorubas don't even understand Igbo at all. So it becomes very, very difficult to have them in a very, very peaceful marriage and cohabit easily in Lagos. But I believe it's just the beginning. It's getting better. If you look at it from the start, it's getting better. I mean, people are being educated. People are being more tolerant. People are being more understanding. Forget what is happening is just politics. Politics will come, politics will go.
He expressed optimism that political decisions around Kanu's case may still shift. He urged Igbos to remain steadfast, obey the law, and continue excelling in commerce, education, engineering, and innovation.
About Mazi Kalu's situation, I would say it's highly political and it's been looked into. I'm very, very sure we have a good listening leaders. I'm very sure when they go in and sleep, when they wake up, they will reconsider. And it will be very free. I'm very sure I have that conviction within me. Within this period, it should be out. I'm very, very sure about that.
Concerns over demolition in Lagos also resurfaced. Community leader Dr. John criticized what he called discriminatory treatment of Igbo property.
I'm telling the Yorubas and using this opportunity to tell them to handle this very issue as per se we are one Nigeria. The way they are treating Igbos, that was what brings up this agitation. And there's somebody that is agitating, you cannot tell him stop agitation. Because if you want to tell him to stop agitation, then look at the reason why he is agitating, then solve the problem so that we will live like brothers.
On his part, Yoruba leader Mustafa Olanraju emphasized proper enforcement of building permits, warning that sudden demolitions threaten investment and deepen ethnic anxiety.
Appeal to the government to do the right thing in order for them to check very well before they give them the permit to build their houses on. Not that after they are finished building their houses, that's when they are going to come back and start demolishing. Many investors will be afraid to come to Lagos and invest their money when it comes to real estate.
While the event marked the end of year in celebration and cultural pride, it's also provided a platform for frank discussion on justice, ethnic harmony, demolitions, and the future of Nigeria unity. Leaders from both communities say dialogue, tolerance, and fair governance remain essential to sustaining peace in Lagos and across the country. From Aga Palace Way in Lagos, I am Onyeka Golo reporting for VOP TV.
Many thanks to our correspondent Onyeka Ogolo for that report. Meanwhile, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has actually filed a lawsuit against Senate President Godswill Akpabio and House Speaker Sajuddin Abbas. The suit concerns the alleged misappropriation of 18.6 billion meant for the National Assembly Service Commission office complex. Serap is seeking a court order to compel the lawmakers and the commission to account for the funds. They also demand disclosure of the contractor involved and a relevant project document, including bids and approvals. The group argues that the mismanagement violates public trust, the Nigerian Constitution, and international anti-corruption standards. They insist that transparency in handling the funds is in the public interest and would strengthen democratic accountability. According to the Auditor General's 2022 report, 11.6 billion was paid to an unknown company without proper assessment or approvals. Sarah believes holding those responsible accountable will help recover any misappropriated funds and restore trust in public institutions. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has briefed President Bola Tinubu on the political crisis in Guinea-Bissau following its disputed presidential election and a military takeover. Military officers seized power last Wednesday, suspending the electoral process and closing the country's borders. Jonathan led the West African Elders Forum election observer mission to the country and provided Tinubu with a first-hand account of the situation. The briefing is intended to keep Nigeria's president informed ahead of discussions at the ECOWAS summit. He urged that the officially declared winner of the election be inaugurated and called for the immediate release of detained opposition candidate Fernando Diaz. Jonathan described the takeover as a ceremonial coup and emphasized that ECOWAS should engage the military leaders to restore constitutional order. The former Bayelsa State governor stressed that Africa must move past frequent political crises and avoid violent confrontations. He warned that forcing the military out could cost lives and called for dialogue to resolve the situation peacefully. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has suspended its indefinite nationwide strike after reaching an agreement with the federal government. NARD President Mohammed Suleiman confirmed the decision in a post on his X handle. He said the suspension followed several conciliatory meetings and the signing of a memorandum of understanding outlining progress on the association's 19-point demand. Outstanding issues such as promotion arrears are still being compiled by chief medical directors and medical directors. According to him, the deadline for payment of promotion and salary arrears is 4 weeks, with directives already issued on specialist allowance implementation. He added that a committee has recommended the reabsorption of the Lokoja 5 into the Federal Teaching Hospital Lokoja within 2 weeks. Suleiman highlighted ongoing processes for the payment of the 25% and 35% allowances and the accoutrement allowance. The strike, which began on November 1, centered on fair remuneration, improved working conditions, and the resolution of long-standing welfare issues affecting resident doctors nationwide. In a recent development, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) have dismantled a social media network distributing drugs disguised as imported Christmas cookies and snacks in Lagos. NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi said 2 suspected masterminds were arrested during a raid in the Lekki area. The syndicate, run by Deji Adesonya and Olubi Majekodumi, imported Canadian Loud, a strong strain of cannabis, packaged in colorful designer sachets resembling cookies and snacks. NDLEA seized 5 kilograms of the substance along with the packaging materials from the hideout on November 22. In a separate operation, 38-year-old drug kingpin Philip Ucheka was arrested in Ladipo, Mushin with 110 pouches of Canadian Loud weighing 55.6 kilograms. 3 delivery vehicles used for distribution were also impounded during the raid. NDLEA officers also intercepted 100 grams of Loud hidden in a teddy bear and 548 capsules of tramadol concealed in vitamin bottles bound for the United Kingdom. In Oyo State, 55-year-old Wasiu Karim was arrested with thousands of doses of pentazocine, codeine syrup, cocodamol, and tramadol. Joining us virtually now to analyze the news is veteran journalist and editor of Premium Times, Jane Agoye. You're welcome, Jane. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing, Jane? Welcome to the conversation. Jane, can you hear me? Hello, Jane. Are you with us? All right, we ought to be having a conversation with Jane Agoye. I'll wait for the audio to be fixed so that we can have this conversation, because we want to talk about the rising wave of insecurity in the country. Welcome back, Jane. How are you doing? Welcome to the News Hour.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much. It is unfortunate that we're having this conversation again, but the insecurity seems to not want to leave the borders of Nigeria. We're hearing today that a church in Ejiba, Kogi State was attacked during Sunday service, and the pastor of the church and his wife were abducted. Worshippers had to flee, and gunshots echoed throughout the community. Residents were really terrified. Donald Trump talked about a Christian genocide in Nigeria, and it would seem that attacks on churches have intensified ever since he shone the spotlight on this issue. I'd like to hear your take on that.
I lost you for a bit. What did you say?
I'm talking about the insecurity in the country and what seems to be the increasing attacks on Christian worship centers and churches. Are we seeing a resurgence of attacks, terrorist attacks and abductions in churches? Is this a validation of the claims made by U.S. President Donald Trump of a Christian genocide in Nigeria? And why does it seem that these terrorists have intensified their attacks on Christian worship centers after what Donald Trump said?
I really want to agree with what President Trump said about having the Christian genocide in Nigeria, because I feel the frequency and the rate at which these guys operate lately clearly shows that there's a mission, there's an agenda. However, this attack in Kogi for me hits differently, because this wasn't a highway ambush or a farm attack or even a kidnap. This happened right in the middle of the church service. Same thing that happened, in Kwara. A pastor and his wife taken just in front of the congregation. And that alone is it makes such a loud statement, because a church is supposed to be a place of solace, one of the few places where you're supposed to go, breathe, play, and just pray and feel safe. So when criminals boldly walk into a sanctuary with guns, the talking point is clear, and that's the fact that nowhere is sacred anymore. And the government's swift response, deploying surveillance teams, launching manhunts, shows urgency. But people don't really recover from such incidents because of the implications or how sensitive it is. Imagine you just going to church, and not knowing that the next second the leader of the church, the pastor, is going to be whisked away. There's going to be so much dampening of faith. And like I was telling someone, I don't know how Christmas festivities is going to be this year, or even the crossover service, because a lot of people will have to stay indoors, which is what their plan is, to destabilize the Christian community, cause a lot of chaos, cause a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. And the real issue here is that a lot of Nigerians no longer trust that their safe places, which is a church, is truly safe. That sense of safety is also as important as rescuing the people who were abducted. So it's really, really heartbreaking. It has even gotten to a stage where this news no longer shocks us. It's almost like an everyday occurrence. In short, right now, in a day, if you don't hear that one church was attacked, one church leader was abducted, then you know that nothing really happened. We are no longer shaking again. Everybody's just holding on to the last straw of faith they have.
It's quite unfortunate, Jane. I, for one, am not happy to keep talking about the situation, but we'll continue to shine the light on it and also hold the government of the day accountable. We are being told that the Kogi State Governor, Usman Ododo, is coordinating rescue effort himself. Would you say that this is very possible and this is because of the love he has for his people, or is this mere propaganda to make it look like the government is working to secure the lives and properties of the people? Also, I'm getting reports that there was a terrorist abduction on the highway in Kogi State today. Kogi is seeming to become a hotbed of kidnappings and abductions by these Moradin terrorists. And now the governor said he's going into the field himself to coordinate the rescue operations. Just how many people, how many incidents, how many events can the governor really be at the forefront and say he wants to coordinate the rescue effort himself? Why not actually put surveillance, intensify surveillance, and launching manhunt, not just to rescue the victims, but to phase out these terrorist elements?
At this point, nobody really cares. I, for one, I don't care if it's a propaganda, politics, or whatever. All we just want is a final stop to this menace. It's so demoralizing. And right now, I think the last thing Nigerians want to hear or want to experience is a governor or the government politicizing this or using it to score cheap points. Nobody really cares at this point. We just want the right thing to be done. If it means, of course, we know that it's all that was just a politics speak. He can't definitely be at the forefront of every rescue, whatever. But irrespective of that, we just want the right thing to be done. Enough of all of this chaos and killings. The carnage is just too much.
It's a very, very, very unfortunate situation. Really, enough of the carnage and enough of the killings. We do hope that very, very soon we'll get to hear that the people who are responsible for these terrorist attacks on Nigerians are brought to book. Now, let's talk about the efforts crushing terrorist cells and also rescuing kidnapped victims. 12 young women who went to their farm to harvest their crops were kidnapped by these terrorists. Would you say that the Air Force is actually making major headway in clearing out terrorist cells in certain areas in northern Nigeria?
Well, if the news we've read and that you have read is anything to go by, so yes, it's some cheering news. I feel the military operations in Borno, Katsina, Kano, and Taraba, they send a very different message from the Kogi attack, because it actually shows that, for once, if the news is anything to go by, that our security agencies are actually fighting back with better coordination and better intelligence. They've never had it this bad. We've never had it this bad. We know that the killings, the abductions, the terrorist attacks have gone on for so many years, without a stop. But we've never had it, consistently back to back. There's so much intelligence on the part of these kidnappers. So I think it does sound like some good news. The precision, the airstrikes against ISWAP and the Boko Haram camps are not mere guesswork. So I think it's some good moves there.
All right, then. Let's look at the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, that is MACBAN, in southern Kaduna, pledging to cooperate with security agencies to tackle insecurity in the zone. Now, we know that some state governors, notably, that is beginning with the Cross River State, either Cross River or Akwa Ibom, has actually said they do not want to see headers in their state anymore. They've withdrawn the license that was given to headers to move about. Also, we are seeing videos on social media now of people being hostile towards headers, people being hostile towards people who look like they are from the north. All of those people who do work like what they call iron condemn, people who push wheelbarrows and all of that. Would you say that Nigerians are now stereotyping the Hausa Fulani ethnic group due to these cases of insecurity that we're seeing all around the country? Because almost a high percent of Nigerians will tell you that either them or their family members have suffered insecurity, they've suffered abductions, they've suffered kidnapping, and because of that, it seems people are being more hostile to people from the northern part of the country.
That's very correct. The stereotypes have existed for as long as we have been all our adult life. But I think more than ever, the profiling has become more intense. Over the week, during the course of the week, I traveled from Lagos to Abuja, and it was a connecting flight to Sokoto, and more than half of the passengers on the flights were, of course, from the north. And then I recall my seatmates in the flight saying, she just whispered to me and said, if this man in front there stands up to try anything when the flight is airborne, that she's going to show him shaking. And I just laughed. And within me, I just said, this is what Nigeria has come down to, that even people, you can't even look at a fellow northerner and not think of him a certain way, how much more a Fulani person the meeting in Southern Kaduna is one of those moments where you just want to be hopeful. But we also remember that there have been similar promises made. This what are they called? Miyati Allah leaders saying they want to work with security agencies. It's important because really for years communities have complained that you have criminal headers hide under the umbrella of Fulani identity, and it's really sad. I mean, growing up we know that Fulanis are naturally, they are nomads, they don't stay one place, but it's so bad that right now you've had these criminal headers infiltrate them and hiding under the guise of the Fulani things and Fulani headsmen to perpetuate, so much evil and carnage. So hearing that the header leaders are openly calling for the criminal, it's catching our attention. But I think that the commitment to peaceful coexistence is something people in Southern Kaduna have prayed for repeatedly. They're almost sounding like a broken record. But if communities truly stop being sympathetic to these criminal headers, these so-called bandits, and actually begin to report suspicious movements early, and if the headers leaders themselves also stop shielding those guys, and maybe this reoccurring violence would even reduce. And earlier today, I also saw a news where it was said that in Kaduna they had a peace deal with some bandits. I think 24 communities, if I'm not mistaken, entered into a peace agreement with bandits. And I was wondering that really, so we actually have begun to, to negotiate with these guys. Does it also mean that our security operatives are helpless, such that communities are now engaging these bandits one-on-one to seek like a truce or a peace deal? It just has me thinking about a lot of things.
All right, we hope that as we're thinking about it as journalists, that the government of the day is also thinking about it. But let's move away from insecurity to a second to talk about matters that are not exactly very cheery. In judicial cases, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, that is SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio and Speaker of the House Tajuddin Abbas. Now, this suit concerns the alleged misappropriation of about 18.6 billion naira meant for the National Assembly Service Commission's office complex. SERAP wants a court order to compel the lawmakers and the commission to account for the funds. They're also demanding disclosure of the contractor involved and the relevant project documents, including bids and approvals. Now, sometimes we talk about how this kind of contracts are shrouded in mystery and we do not know who it was awarded to. And then sometimes when you now do in-depth investigation, you find out that it was actually maybe awarded to a family member of one of the people who are giving out the contract. Now, SERAP is one organization, one CSO that actually pushes for a change in Nigeria. Every day we get them suing one institution or the other, even suing the president, suing the federal government, trying to ensure that we get disclosure, to ensure that most of issues like this are not shrouded in corruption. What would you say about the work that SERAP is doing? And would you say that the Nigerian judiciary is helping the work that SERAP is doing?
Of course, you know the answer now. But SERAP's lawsuit is one of those cases that just makes you shake your head and weep for this country, because make it make sense. 18.6 billion naira is not small money. And we Nigerians are tired of hearing funds that just vanish like smoke. And I think the talking point here for me is accountability. People want to know who collected the money. What work, and why the numbers don't add up. And the Auditor General's report stating that over 11 billion naira was paid to an unknown company is what even makes it even shocking and scary. Of course, we've heard worse stories and very outrageous things, but I feel SERAP is doing a great job. It's very difficult to hold the legislative accountable in a country like Nigeria, especially when the judiciary does not even have that autonomy or that independence. So SERAP is doing a great job. And I think, imagine these lawsuits, it's also instrumental, to note that this lawsuit is also coming at a time when Nigerians are battling hardship, seafood prices, they are soaring by the day. People can't even afford to eat 3 square meals. Unemployment is high, and then we are talking about 18.6 billion naira just vanished like that with no accountability. So, I mean, if this lawsuit actually, if it actually pulls through, then it's some cheering news for the ordinary Nigerian, really, because that funds belong to you and I.
All right, let's move outside the shores of Nigeria for a few minutes, actually. Former President Goodluck Jonathan, who was reportedly stuck in Guinea-Bissau following the coup 3 days after the country's presidential election, is back to Nigeria, and he has briefed President Tinubu on that election and the coup that followed. He's saying that it was a ceremonial coup in order not to instate the person who won the presidential election. And I cannot help but think about African leaders and how they want to have a hold of power at the detriment of their people and their citizens. If we look at the trend of coups in Africa, even some of our neighbors surrounding us in Nigeria, some of the countries that we share borders with, have also experienced military coups in the past few months, in the past few years as well. What is it with African leaders and not wanting to relinquish power, wanting to turn that presidential seat into a monarchy, into a throne that, if possible, their children can inherit?
It's a disease that has plagued African for the longest time. I mean, we have examples. Look at Paul Biya, almost almost going senile, and he's still holding on to power. But away from that, I think the situation in Guinea-Bissau is just another reminder to us about how fragile the so-called democracy we practice in West Africa is. And Jonathan describing it as a ceremonial coup. It's a, how do I describe it? I think it's just a diplomatic way of him saying that the military is pretending to stay in the background while still pulling the strings. But the bottom line here is that yet another African country is slipping into that cycle of disputed elections and military intervention. And it brings bringing this home. Sometimes I wonder, can this actually happen in Nigeria? Even though, a few weeks, or was it months back, we had rumors of a supposed coup that led to the reshuffling of the military chiefs and all of that. But I think Jonathan's warning about avoiding violent confrontation is a serious one. You've seen what happened in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso here. And trying to force the military out without dialogue could further destabilize this region, West African region. And from the look of things right now, if you look through the map of West Africa, how many countries right now are actually practicing democracy as in democracy, and how many have fallen and are being taken over and have been taken over by the military. So it's some food for thought, and it's something the Nigerian leaders should not go to bed thinking that it can happen in Nigeria.
All right, then, Jane, just before you go, the National Association of Resident Doctors are finally going back to the hospitals after over 3 weeks of being on strike, pending when the agreement they have with the federal government is actually actualized. How come we allow doctors in this country to go on strike for almost a month, leaving citizens vulnerable and without anyone to attend to them, leaving citizens having to use private hospitals, which are not at all affordable for most of the people? Not only are doctors on strike, there's also the case with ASU. So if we have issues with education, we have issues with healthcare, we have issues with insecurity, and then we have this political crisis within parties whereby the opposition is not doing what it's supposed to do. What exactly is working in Nigeria?
You both of us know the answer. Nothing is really working. The only thing that is working is the bank accounts of the politicians and those in power. But as every health worker or most unionists will tell you, that a suspended strike is not a resolved strike. Most of these issues, salary arrears, promotions, allowances, are still pending. It's more of a temporary pause and not a victory. It's not something we should celebrate. The MOU with the government, I did read some of the details earlier in the day. It looks promising on paper, but we have seen so many agreements like this collapse because timelines were not met. 4 weeks for arrears, 2 weeks for what's it called, to rehire the Lokoja, I think 5 or so. You know, I think for doctors, this strike isn't always about money. In a country that works, the health sector, the education sector should be given priority. But in Nigeria, I hope you know that politics is a sector in Nigeria. You know, that is what is given the most priority in Nigeria. And it's so unfortunate because doctors, health workers, and teachers, professors should earn the highest in Nigeria. But these two professions have not been given the the adequate attention and prominence that it deserves. I just hope that someday soon we'll have enough of these strikes and government will just do the right thing, because not many people, the average Nigerian, can't even afford to pay for, even to get a card in the least private hospital. So that means a lot of lives will be lost. And like some people will say, when these doctors go on strike, just ensure that you eat healthy and try to stay healthy so you don't fall ill and have to be rushed to a hospital at night, especially when you don't have money in Nigeria.
Jane, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for your analysis on the news at this moment. I really appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You're still watching the news on Voice of the People television. When we return, EFCC bans former AGF Abubakar Malami from leaving Nigeria. Please stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has seized the international passport of former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, a senior advocate of Nigeria. The action is part of an ongoing investigation into the alleged $490 million Abacha loot linked to a mutual legal assistance request. A credible source said Malami has been barred from leaving Nigeria for the next month and must report daily to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. One condition for his release on Saturday was that any travel abroad requires mutual agreement with the EFCC or a High Court order. The EFCC stressed that it is not accusing Malami of theft, but requires clarification on the whereabouts of the funds. Officials cited the large volume of documents and need for extensive interviews as reasons for the passport seizure. Malami described the allegations as fabricated, thanking Allah for divine intervention in a post on X. He said his engagement with the EFCC was successful and that he has been released pending further meetings, reiterating that the truth will soon unfold. The Anambra State Police Command has reassured residents about their safety following a fear-inducing voice note circulating on social media. The Police Public Relations Officer SP Tochukwu Ikenga said the command is taking the matter seriously and monitoring all developments closely. Ikenga stated that security surveillance had been intensified, visibility policing strengthened, and routine and targeted patrols expanded in all areas mentioned in the recordings. Preliminary assessments indicate that the voice notes and messages lack verified credibility. The State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ikioye Orutugu, directed all police formations to remain alert, boost intelligence gathering, and sustain aggressive patrol operations. Residents were urged to stay calm and continue their lawful activities without fear. The Anambra Police emphasized that no security concern, whether real or fabricated, will be left unattended to. The command assured the public that proactive measures are in place to safeguard lives and properties across the state. In a recent development, former Secretary to the Osun State Government, Moshood Adeoti, has formally withdrawn from the African Democratic Congress ADC and Aregbeshola's camp. The move comes amid reports that the party intends to award its 2026 governorship ticket to former Speaker Najim Salam. Adeoti previously ran for governor under the African Democratic Party in 2018 and later returned to the APC in 2020. His political journey included involvement with Omoluabi Progressives before joining the ADC, where tensions over candidate selection prompted his exit. In a letter dated November 30, 2025, Adeoti announced his withdrawal from all group activities and expressed gratitude to fellow progressives for their trust. He cited family advice and the need for a temporary break from politics as reasons for his decision. The former SSG confirmed the letter when contacted, but declined further comment on his political future. His departure marks another shift in Osun State's evolving political landscape ahead of the 2026 elections. The National Examinations Council, NECO, has granted accreditation to selected schools in Burkina Faso to host its SSCE and BECE examinations. This follows a comprehensive assessment visit by NECO's accreditation team to evaluate classrooms, laboratories, libraries, and security arrangements. The team also reviewed continuous assessment records, teacher adequacy, and the overall learning environment before granting full accreditation. Acting Director of Information, Mr. Aziz Sani, said the move underscores NECO's commitment to quality education beyond Nigeria. The expansion will benefit Nigerian students living in Burkina Faso by allowing them to write their examinations locally without traveling back to Nigeria. Ambassador MD Galadima described the accreditation as a relief for families and urged parents to take advantage of the opportunity. NECO's accreditation in Burkina Faso adds to its existing international centers, including London, Togo, Benin, Niger, Equatorial Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Saudi Arabia. The move reinforces NECO's position as one of Africa's foremost examination bodies, offering wider access to its services for Nigerians and foreign students. Thank you for staying with us right here on the News Hour Voice of the People television. Now to the World Report. 4 people were killed and 10 others wounded in a shooting at a family gathering in Stockton, California on Saturday night. The incident took place inside the banquet hall just before 6 p.m., according to San Joaquin County Sheriff spokesperson Heather Brent. The victims, ranging from juveniles to adults, were taken to local hospitals for treatment. Sheriff's officials described the incident as targeted and said investigators are exploring all possibilities. No suspect has been identified so far, and authorities are urging anyone with information or footage to contact the sheriff's office immediately. California Governor Gavin Newsom has been briefed on the tragedy as detectives work to determine the circumstances leading up to the shooting. The Stockton shooting is one of 504 mass shootings recorded in the United States this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. A mass shooting is defined as an incident in which 4 or more people are shot. Heavy rains from Cyclone Ditwa have flooded Colombo and central Sri Lanka, leaving nearly 200 dead and hundreds missing. Relief workers are clearing blocked roads as the scale of destruction becomes apparent. Over 25,000 homes have been destroyed and 147,000 people have been moved into temporary shelters. Another 968,000 residents are in urgent need of assistance after being displaced by the floods. The government has declared a state of emergency and appealed for international aid. India, Pakistan and Japan have sent rescue teams and supplies to assist in the relief efforts. Authorities warn of further landslide as mountains remain saturated with rainwater. The National Blood Transfusion Service has appealed for urgent donations to meet the shortfall caused by the disaster. Still on the World Report, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has formally requested a pardon from President Isaac Herzog over ongoing corruption trials. He has faced charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in connection with 3 separate cases, but denies any wrongdoing. Netanyahu said he preferred the legal process to run its course, but argued that national interest required immediate action. His video statement emphasized that ending the trial would help reduce tensions and promote reconciliation in Israel. Opposition leaders have condemned the move, insisting that a pardon requires an admission of guilt and full retirement from political life. Critics argue that Netanyahu is attempting to merge personal interests with the state's needs, undermining Israel's legal system. Supporters, including his Likud party, back the pardon, while many on the left fear it would weaken democratic norms. President Herzog will consult justice officials before deciding, and no timeline has been given for a decision. From the World Report, we take you straight into the world of business, where operator of the electronic call-up platform on the Seaport Access Road, the Truck Transit Parks Limited, TTP, has announced plans to introduce a series of new technologies to further facilitate cargo movement from the seaport in 2026. TTP Managing Director Jama Onwubariri, who disclosed this at a roundtable with the Shipping Correspondent Association of Nigeria, SCAN, in Lagos, disclosed that the company facilitated the movement of over 900,000 trucks into the Nigerian ports so far this year. According to him, in the past 5 years, the company had deployed technologies to help shippers, transporters, port operators, terminal operators, and the FMCG companies improve their movement and management of their facilities, ensuring that goods, vehicles and people move quickly and efficiently. For 2026, Onwubariri said the company was currently deploying an electronic tagging system and other new technologies to reduce human interference. He added that the firm has also designed an e-column interchange transaction log and the yard traffic management solution, among others, to ensure seamless truck movement and eliminate delays. Still in business, market capitalization closed at 91.286 trillion naira for the week, as the Nigerian Exchange All-Share Index fell by 0.14% to 143,520.53 naira. Consequently, investors lost about 129 billion naira as profit taking continued across major counters. This compared with 143,722.62 points and 91.415 trillion naira recorded in the previous week, reflecting weaker sentiment across the market. Most indices closed lower, except some, which indices appreciated between 0.01% and 0.94%, showing selective interest in defensive stocks. Turnover rose to 4.140 billion shares, worth 115.889 billion naira in 102,351 deals, higher than 2.668 billion shares valued at 106.264 billion naira last week. The financial services industry led activity with 3.358 billion shares, worth 81.175 billion naira in 43,392 deals, representing 81.10% of total volume and 70.05% of total value traded during the week. From business to sports, where Inter Miami thrashed New York City FC 5-1 in the Eastern Conference playoffs to reach their first Major League Soccer MLS Cup final. Estadio Allende had 3 good goals from Matteo Silvetti, and Talasco Segovia sent a revitalized Miami roaring into a Major League Soccer's championship game next Saturday at their home field in Fort Lauderdale. While Messi did not get on the score sheet, the 38-year-old provided a crucial, classy assist for Miami's third goal, scored by Silvetti, that effectively killed off the game as New York chased an equalizer. After the match, Inter Miami coach Javier Mascherano hailed Lionel Messi as extraordinary after the Argentine superstar helped the club into their first MLS Cup final. According to him, Leo has accustomed the team to the extraordinary. He added that though Messi did not score, he gave the team peace of mind with the third goal, an assist that only he could see. And now, entertainment. Fans of global Afrobeat star Asake have expressed outrage over the 300,000 naira ticket price for his Lagos homecoming concert. Social media users described the cost as excessive and unfair to those who supported him since his early career. The high fees have sparked criticism across fan pages, with some suggesting the pricing could dampen excitement for the performance. Comparisons with international shows highlighted that tickets abroad are often cheaper than those in Nigeria. Flytime Fest, known for premium concert experiences, has steadily increased ticket prices, but many fans feel the latest surge crosses a line. Online reactions ranged from disbelief to frustration, questioning why loyal fans are being priced out. Despite the backlash, the event remains scheduled and fans continue to debate whether the ticket price reflects the concert's value. The controversy has intensified discussions on accessibility and fairness in Nigeria's live entertainment industry. Nollywood actress Shelley Igwe has been reinstated by the Actors Guild of Nigeria (AGN) after a suspension stemming from a July 19 movie set incident. She expressed relief and gratitude, describing the decision as a heavy weight lifted and validation of her account of events. Reflecting on the incident, she acknowledged the importance of remaining calm under pressure and noted how quickly misunderstandings can escalate in the industry. The disciplinary review, she said, taught her the value of emotional composure and professionalism. She plans to involve her manager more actively on set to maintain respectful boundaries and ensure a structured work environment. She also intends to be more selective with projects, prioritizing productions that are organized, safe, and aligned with her values. Looking ahead, she hopes her experience will inspire positive change within Nollywood. She plans to advocate for better working conditions, mentor younger actors, and support initiatives promoting professionalism across the industry. And that's it on the news app. Before we go, a quick look at the headlines. We told you that gunmen have kidnapped a pastor and his wife in an abduction in Kogi State. Air Force and troops crash terror cells and rescue kidnapped victims. Serap sues Akpabio and Abbas over 18.6 billion naira. EFCC bars former AGF Abubakar Malami from leaving Nigeria. NDREA seizes Christmas drugs in Bust. NARD suspends a nationwide strike. 4 dead and 10 injured in California shooting, that is on the World Report. In business, TTP unveils new cargo evacuation technologies for 2026. In sports, Inter Miami thrashed New York to reach the first MLS Cup. And in entertainment, fans criticize a 300,000 naira ticket fee in Ashake concert. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube, where Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happening near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness reports, event coverage requests, photos or videos directly via WhatsApp to 0814-606-4057. You can also reach our newsroom directly by mail at news@vop.ng. I am Chioma Innocent. Thank you for watching.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Lovisha Nelson One, your number one celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyi Osarate is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV, live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
2564 is coming up on Burning 9 right now. 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man. And it's money back guarantee. So you're going to have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that die because VOP is the plot.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city. The loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's law.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
In Nigeria,
Weddings are more than ceremonies. They are deeply rooted cultural performances, traditions where love is measured, respect is demonstrated, and the couple's readiness is publicly declared. Today, we explore 4 remarkable marriage customs that continue to define and distinguish Nigerian culture. The Urobo Groom's Acceptance Dance in Delta State. Among the Urobo people, marriage proposals are not complete without a compelling performance. The groom must present himself to the bride's family through dance. This ritual is more than a formality, it is a declaration, a deeply symbolic gesture that speaks to his humility, strength, and readiness to resume the weight of marital responsibility. Under the watchful eyes of elders and kin, the groom steps into a sacred space. Each movement is measured. Each step is intentional. His dance becomes a silent language expressing respect for the family, reverence for tradition, and unwavering commitment to the woman he hopes to call his wife. But the true climax of the ritual comes not with applause, but with a response. If the bride rises and joins him moving in rhythm by his side, it is a powerful signal of acceptance, a public acknowledgement that she, too, is ready, that she sees in him a partner, a protector, and a future. Together, their dance becomes a union of purpose. For the Urobo, this ritual is not just a tradition, it is a rite of passage, a cultural affirmation that love must be earned and marriage must be honored. In the Niger Delta, among the Ijaw, the bride does not smile on her wedding day, not until the symbolic gesture of value is complete. Among the Ijaw people, weddings are not merely ceremonies, they are cultural declarations of respect, value, and tradition. At the heart of this ritual stands the bride, composed, dignified, and silent. She does not smile. Her expression, calm and unreadable, is a quiet assertion of agency. It is tradition that before joy can unfold, a symbolic gesture must take place. Cash offerings are made to her not as a prize, but as a token of appreciation, a respectful acknowledgement of her worth, her strength, and a role in the union to come. Each offering is placed before her with care. The moment is deliberate. The bride weighs not just the amount, but the spirit in which it is given. And only when she is satisfied and when the gesture feels worthy, she smiles. That single smile marks the turning point, a quiet signal that respect has been shown and the union is worthy of celebration. Then the celebration began. For the Ijaw, this moment is sacred. It is not about wealth, but about recognition, about beginning a marriage with honor and the full consent of a woman who knows her value. For the Fulani of northern Nigeria, a man's strength and endurance are essential proofs of love. The Sharo festival, a centuries-old tradition known as the test of love. Here, in the presence of elders, family, and an entire community, a groom steps forward not with gifts, but with his back bared, ready to be flogged, not out of cruelty, but out of culture. Each lash he receives is a test of endurance, bravery, and emotional control. He must stand tall without flinching, without crying or retreating. His silence is everything. It is his declaration that he is strong enough to protect, patient enough to endure, and emotionally ready for the journey of marriage. But the challenge does not end there. Sometimes another man steps forward, a rival for the same bride, and in that arena, love becomes a contest. The one who withstands the pain with the most dignity, the one who shows the greatest strength, earns the right to her hand. This is not mere spectacle, it is ritual. A cultural practice where courage is measured and marital readiness is revealed through sacrifice. For the Fulani, marriage is not simply accepted, it is earned. For the Sharo tribe, true love proves itself. The Efik fattening room wedding preparation. In Cross River State, the Efik people prepare brides with grace and wisdom. It is a sacred institution known as the fattening room, which prepares a bride not just for a wedding, but for womanhood itself. Here, young women are secluded for weeks, sometimes months, in a sacred... and private space. And this time, honor tradition, the bride-to-be is not isolated, but nurtured, fed a rich, balanced diet to promote fullness and beauty, a symbol of prosperity and care. But the transformation is not just physical. Elders and matrons pass down vital knowledge, the art of respect, power of patience, the strength of dignity. She is taught how to manage a home, uphold cultural values, and honor her future role as a wife and mother. It is a school of femininity, of discipline, and of pride. And when she emerges, she is met not with mere ceremony, but with celebration, glowing in confidence, poised in wisdom, and ready to step into her union with grace and honor. Across Nigeria, wedding traditions are not mere customs. They are rich cultural expressions that take character, affirm worth, and prepare couples for life ahead. They challenge, they honor, and empower. In these traditions, love is not spoken but proven. Some test strength, others demand patience, but all are rooted in respect, in community, and in legacy.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not a spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Join Moses, Chukuma, and Fina on Voice of the People TM. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpillon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People Television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukwuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us. In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react. Understand.
Voice of the people, you can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokobo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more, tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. Make your voice count.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Lovisha Nelson One, your number one celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyosite is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV. Live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
2564 is coming up on 29, right? The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Welcome to Kitty's Corner. Every weekend is a new journey. Join Auntie Oni as she embarks on thrilling adventures. Each episode takes the young explorers to a different fantastical world filled with exciting challenges, making new friends and learning valuable life lessons. The show begins with lots of excitement in a cozy storytelling mood. Fairies teach